We are joined by Dhaval Dalal of Edelweiss Securities. He's joining us from Mumbai. Dhaval, thank you so much for being with us at NDTV Profit. Now, we did see a rally in the bond yields the day the RBI announcement was made. It was somewhat of a surprise because the market had factored in a 25 basis point cut. Now, what is the outlook for the bond yields? Do you think they could go back to the losing spree? We saw a 40 basis point decline coming in November.
Well, you're absolutely correct. I think the status quo has come as a surprise to most of the market participants. But when you go through the text of the RBI's credit policy, I think it comes out very clear that the RBI has decided to focus more on the global factors as well as the increase in the monthly inflation momentum. And at the same time, they have downplayed the impact of the demonetization on the economy, particularly on economic growth and inflation, which I think have played in the minds of the bond market participants in driving down the yields. So now with the status quo, we believe that gradually government bond yields should trend higher. And we do expect the benchmark 10-year to trend towards 6.5 in the near term.
Right. But what do you do with the excess liquidity? Because the RBI also said that the CRR impounding will be disbanded come December 10th. So you still have a lot of deposits coming in. Still the banks are flush with liquidity. So even if the RBI doesn't really cut the repo, thanks to so much money sloshing around, aren't your yields going to go down? Because banks themselves will perhaps cut their rates.
I think what the RBI is trying to do is to sterilize the surplus liquidity by way of issuing MSS bonds and at the same time using variable reverse repo auctions. So the whole idea, and if you have focused on the RBI governor's comments, that the RBI's objective is to keep the overnight rate closer to the upper band of the LAF corridor. And in that sense, I think the RBI will use various tools in their arsenal to ensure that surplus liquidity is sterilized and does not put downward pressure, unusual downward pressure on overnight rates.
So in your expectations, rate cuts on the retail end by banks are not coming anytime soon?
I think it should come, but ultimately it's not because of the surplus liquidity in the banking system, but it's because of the general decline in the cost of funds. And at the same time, requirement of the corporate sector will result in optimal levels of the lending rates.
Right, but on the demand side, if we don't have a trigger because of the cash crunch, demand is expected to take a knock. So if we don't have the demand side trigger, what can we expect as far as trend for bond yields is concerned?
I think it's a valid argument. Right now, currently, we do not see a significant demand for funds. But at the same time, the RBI will have to strike a fine balance between the silent saver, those who will require their certain amount of interest in the deposits, versus calibrating the lending rates on the downward side. So at some point of time, the equilibrium should come, keeping in mind what the RBI thinks is a real rate. Currently, if the RBI expects the inflation to trend towards 5% by March 17, then assuming 1.5 to 1.75% as a real rate, we should expect the deposit rates should be closer to 6.5 to 7%.
All right. Dhaval, if there is an upside pressure to interest to inflation, then what do we expect the RBI to do? They are in RBI's commentary. They have spoken about the crude oil spike as well. But there are, of course, the lack of demand that could cap inflation higher. So that 1.5% band, if that had to be maintained, can we assume that rate cuts may not be very forthcoming in Q4 of FY17?
Well, rightfully, I think if you look at the RBI's rate cutting cycle, we believe that we are pretty close to the end of the rate cutting cycle. At the same time, if you look at the global markets, the feeling that we are getting is that there is a general improvement on the global economic landscape, whether it's the US, Europe, China, as well as in certain part of the other emerging market economies. And as a result of which we have seen general improvement in sentiment as well as bond yields and commodity prices. So I think the Reserve Bank of India has done well in keeping a status quo and asking for buying more time, so we get more clarity and we can figure out what is the impact on our inflation, primarily because of the increase in the commodity prices, particularly oil, food, and some of the industrial commodity. At the same time, the impact of the currency in the global markets. So these are some of the factors that the RBI is keenly watching, and I think a status quo will perhaps give the RBI more time to figure out which way the global economy is heading and what kind of impact it will have on the Indian economy, particularly inflation.
Dhaval, this is Pankaj also joining into the discussion. In terms of rates in the system, RBI of course has signaled that they don't need to cut down rates at this point of time. They'll wait for further data on CPI and GDP growth. But do you think banks, with the flushed liquidity that they have, maybe if the GDP growth suffers, the lending opportunities may come down? That in turn would mean that banks would compromise on their margins and reduce rates?
I think we should see a general decline in margins for banks, as well as a general level of decline in the lending rates. But having said that, there is a perception difference between what market feels the yield should decline and particularly among some market participants, and what we feel is what will be the trend in the interest rate. So based on our analysis, we believe that we should see a decline in rates, but not more than 15 to 25 basis points over next 1 year.
Right. In terms of deposit rates being so unattractive, do you think the mutual fund industry, both bonds and equity, may actually see a lot of inflows going into FY18? Right now, of course, there are issues which people have. There is wealth effect. But as things settle down, as currency circulation becomes normal, you think mutual fund industry will benefit in a big way, both bonds and equities?
We certainly hope so. If the government's efforts to educate the citizens to start using electronic money as well as electronic devices for money transfer, I think for us to get the secondary benefit by way of investors using their banks to invest in mutual fund will be easier. And in that regard, I think the government's educational efforts will perhaps help mutual fund garner more assets both in equity and fixed income. So we are watching this space and we are very excited about the opportunities going forward.
Right. And in terms of your assessment of the GDP impact, will it just be a puncher or it will take some time before we actually see a uptick? Because corporates need to grow to raise funds, corporate needs to grow to raise equity. What do you think your assessment is? Next 6 months, next 12 months? When will you see better things?
See, at this point of time, it's anybody's guess. I think if you look at the various forecasts, it's from 1% decline in GDP to 3% decline in GDP over next 1 year. And I think the truth lies somewhere in between. So in the absence of any credible data, we should perhaps stick to the middle path and hope that the GDP will recover soon, primarily because of the demographic profile of our country, where there are a lot of young people and they are waiting to consume. And the Indian economy is also dependent on internal consumption rather than export-oriented economic activities. So in that extent, I would tend to believe that it's going to be a V-shaped recovery as and when it happens. And one should find the economic level activities coming on a normal level very soon.
Right. You also look at the global markets very closely, and for years, we have chatted about global rates, what's happening over there. Firstly, going into what ECB said overnight, what do you expect out of Fed? What will that do in terms of flows into India, especially in the debt market?
See, starting with the Fed, I think it's very clear. I think there is almost unanimity that the Fed will hike by 25 basis points in the next meeting. I think more importantly, the market participants would like to see what kind of rate hikes are built for the next year. At this point of time, the consensus is between 2 to 3 more rate hikes in 2017. If the Fed comes out with better guidance, then you could perhaps see further upward pressure on the US bond yields, number one. With regards to the ECB's announcement, I think it has also caught most of the market participants off guard. And the ECB President Mario Draghi was at pains to explain the investors that it is not the taper. But I think some of the market participants have also realized that perhaps at some point of time, this 80 billion euro monthly purchase should end at some point of time, and that's also going to put some upward pressure on the European and bond yields, particularly the German bond yields have hardened in reaction to that. So it will be interesting to see how the FIs will behave next year. Keep in mind that this year, despite a good return in the Indian bond market, the FIs have been net seller to the extent of about $4 to $4.5 billion. What will be crucial is to figure out how they will react next year when the general level of interest rates in the G7 economy will trend higher and the rupee will exhibit a depreciating trend. So we are keeping our fingers crossed and bracing for some amount of volatility next year.
Right. In terms of flows, a lot of people are worried that, what will happen if Fed has to raise rates and, India, on the other hand, has to reduce rates to support growth. Are you worried about, this sort of a move happening in the next 3-4 months?
You see, whenever there is a divergent trend between Indian interest rate cycle and global interest rate cycle, some amount of friction is bound to happen as market participants, different market participants will take different perspective on the global as well as local markets. We have always believed that whenever there is a divergent trend and when the currency is weakening, particularly the rupee is under depreciating bias, at some point of time the divergence has to end and the convergence has to begin. So we are waiting for the turning point to position our portfolio, but we believe that it pays to remain cautious and pay more attention to what's happening in global markets because there is a direct linkage. What if there are more outflows from the FI and that will put further downward pressure on the currency? At some point of time, you will basically see one set of buyers selling and the other set of buyers wondering what needs to be done in the light of further selling. So remaining cautious perhaps will be a good idea and figuring out what happens rather than running a very bullish positions at this point of time.
And in terms of FII views of India or global investors viewing India, this sort of disruption that we are seeing, maybe GST comes in that can lead to further disruption. But most of the investors do believe that it's an opportunity over a period of time.
Well, our assessment of the FIs thinking on the Indian bond market gives us an idea that most of the FIs right now appears to be a little cautious. They are watching and they are trying to figure out what's happening in the economy as well as on the political front. And most importantly, they are also focusing on the spread between the Indian 10-year government bond yield and the US 10-year government bond yields. And it's important to note that the spread, which was as high as 6%, has now come down to as close to as 4%. And keeping in mind the depreciating bias of the currency next year, I think the FIs will have to figure out whether they are better off investing in a G7 country currency and bond, or they should look at the Indian corporate bond as well as government bond. So that's the kind of trade-off that they will have to make. So first quarter of 2017 will perhaps give us a glimpse into what is in their mind, because generally the first quarter decides the kind of activity that the FIs do for the year.
Right. Till now you would probably, just want to look at the budget as a normal event. But this time around, with the collections that come in, what happens after those collections, if there is a windfall gains, what happens, all of that would be very, very important, not only from a domestic point of view, but even from a global investor's perspective.
Well, I think without taking into account the impact of demonetization, we believe that the government will see a general improvement in the tax collection and tax compliance. And that will bode well from the fiscal deficits perspective. So we are very happy to see the fiscal deficit number getting bolstered by the incremental tax revenue as well as tax improvement in tax to GDP ratio. More importantly, as and when GST kicks in and getting stabilized, one should see further improvement over a medium term. So by and large, India's fiscal deficit concern right now, particularly at the central level, is not something that worries us. But on a consolidated basis, yes, there is a scope for improvement, and we believe that once GST settles in, we will have much clearer picture in terms of the state's revenue profile, and we will have to be optimistic on that going forward.